Erik is here. Matt is here. Vic is here. We'll talk about Dak, and we'll talk about other things that we observed week 5. But we got to start with a shout-out and a hat tip and a kudos and anything else, however you want to say it, for our man Vic. Just crushed it. Killed it this weekend. We say it every week. If you want to win money, if you want to make money, you read Vic's picks and you do what he says, because the man knows his football. And he loved the Bears on Thursday last week. Hit his column, his Sunday picks, Carolina and the Vikings. Hit. And he loved the Chargers last night, getting 7.5. And Chargers fans are not happy today, but if you bet them, you're happy. So Vic, why don't you take a bow, and tell us what it is that you liked about. Give us a recap of how great you were. But yeah, just give us a little insight into how you came to make those picks.
No, it's a long cycle, man. I was 10-10-1 going into last weekend, so I like to always track it and just be fair. And it's a long year, so I'm just glad that it was a good weekend, and I just trust the process and kind of did my usual stuff, man. Went through the card. I looked for some buy low, sell high opportunities. I looked for some contrarian plays. I looked for some just angles where I really think that you can get some value. Like I look ahead lines before the season started sometimes, and that's where, for example, that Minnesota-Seattle game, it was 7.5, but if you looked before the season started, that line was like 4. So, and then Seattle's been kind of squeaking by, right? So those are some of the things that I look into. So like you said, it was a good weekend. I'm just trying to look at some things for today's game, and I actually like a prop bet that, I can maybe throw out right now. But if you guys have some Jonnu Smith prop bets in your book, check it out. Try to bet the over receptions, over yards, and maybe even first touchdown. You can probably get them at like 15-1, but the Bills are missing their linebacker that covers tight ends, and without him, they usually get torched at that spot. So those are just some of the things usually that I look into, and I'm going to have my recap column that I do every Tuesday. I'll send that over to my man Jeff, and he'll get that posted, and we'll talk about some of the games. But like you said, man, there were some good games, and just the Dak thing to me was tough. That was the first time I've ever seen where like both teams come out, both coaches come out. I don't know. It was just a little different. Like you could tell how much people like him from what happened that day. And that was just a bummer, man. That really got me sad, even after a good day of gambling. But I hope he comes back. I have a buddy that's a PT guy that actually trains a lot of NFL people, and he's also optimistic, like you kind of said, Jeff, where he thinks hopefully if all goes well, since the surgery went well, since they closed up the wound, he should be back by next season.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't have any infection issues, I think that, like that was a big thing with Alex Smith, was that he had a lot of infection problems as well. I'll tell you the one that, my mind, because again, I'm an old man, so my memory goes back probably farther than some of you guys.
Theismann,
and the way that LT reacted to it.
Yeah.
Like Lawrence Taylor knew immediately what had happened. Immediately he knew what happened. And I can still see him frantically trying to get the medical staff to come onto the field, and how upset he was. And that's Lawrence Taylor, he was as tough a guy as has ever played in the league. And he was just frantic to get him help. I know Theismann tells a story that LT came to visit him in the hospital, and Theismann's like, dude, look what you did to me. And LT says, yeah, man, I don't do anything halfway. So there you go. Erik, what did you like this weekend? What were your top takeaways from a very interesting week 5? A lot of interesting outcomes.
It was a great weekend, all in all, despite what happened to Prescott. I have to say that Bridgewater is probably not getting the credit he deserves this season. He didn't get it last season either, and that's why the Saints got rid of him. But look at what he did for the Panthers this weekend. He came out of the first half with more passing yards than many quarterbacks put up in the entire game. And he carried it through the second half as well. The Panthers earned that win, and I think they're going to really show the league that they're on track to be a definitive championship team this year. And, you've got to give the Raiders credit as well for what they did to the Chiefs. That just, I think, blew everyone away. That's not to discredit the Raiders. I've said it, since before the season started that I thought they would be a good team. But I think it's hard for anyone to have imagined they'd be able to do what they did to the Chiefs. And it just shows exactly the well, okay, yeah, we know. It shows exactly the caliber of team they've developed in Las Vegas, and expect to see a lot of good things come out of them this season as well.
Yeah, just to let the viewers in on the joke. So we recorded a podcast this past Friday where we previewed this weekend's games, and due to technical difficulties beyond our control, we were not able to actually produce the podcast for your viewing pleasure, which is part of the reason why we were coming to you today live from Zoom, because we switched our platforms. But I will tell you, and somewhere there's probably still an actual record of this, we were all over Carolina. We were all over the Raiders. We were all over the Texans. We were all over the Texans, and we were on fire on Friday. And of course, that's the one that got lost to history because of some glitches. But we like the Raiders on Friday.
I got one thing to add to Eric's note. Panthers. You both have talked about the Panthers. I love what they're doing this year. Matt Rule, their coach, has done an amazing job. He's one of those guys that can, hot name in college, and now he's, doing some work. That's a good football team, man. Like, it's going to be a really good game against the Bears this weekend. So my question I want to throw out to you guys is, the hot college name, who do you think it's going to happen again because of the success we're seeing with Matt Rule and what we're seeing in Arizona? Do you think that trend continues this upcoming season?
Yes. Yeah, I do. Because
who's it going to be? Lincoln Riley? Like, who do you think?
I don't, who knows? I mean, I couldn't tell you who it's going to be. But again, like with anything in the NFL, when teams see something that's working, then everybody wants to do it. And, but it's been tried before, and we can think of some pretty big time examples of it not working. Mr. Saban comes to mind immediately, but I wouldn't be shocked. I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe maybe Ryan. I don't know. I mean, I couldn't tell you who it's going to be. But if I'm in Atlanta and I just watched, I just got my ass kicked by Rule, that maybe Arthur Blank's going, maybe I should try this, so we'll see. Yeah, I mean, it certainly seems like, again, once it works once, at least one other team's going to do the same thing. So, yeah, I think so. But, but again, who is it going to be? I don't know. Maybe it'll be Dabo. It could be any one of these guys that wants to try to make the big splash. I wonder if we're going to get. Do you think we'll have a new? So who else is going next? That would be my question. We got two. We've knocked two out of the box. Why do I have the sneaking suspicion that Anthony Lynn's going to be the next?
Maybe.
I heard a stat this morning that just blew me away. So I will share it with the class. Since the start of last season, so now we're talking 21 games. The Chargers' last 21 games, they have 13 losses by within one score. 13 out of 21 games where they've lost by 8 points or less.
How many of those were they leading in, too?
Well, I mean, I don't know that, but you can bet they were probably leading, and if not all of them, pretty close to it.
Yeah, that's coaching.
Yeah, they have a big problem closing out these games. It's absolutely coaching.
they have a saying here in San Diego. It was even before they left. Charger's going to Charger, and boy, did they Chargered last night. But yeah, so I wonder about. I mean, it seems like I feel like Anthony Lynn is actually a good coach, but I just don't know. Especially within that organization and being in the new stadium going into next year, I just wonder if he's on borrowed time.
I don't watch a lot of Chargers, but yesterday, last 2 weeks, what I've noticed is they get big leads. He gets super conservative in the second half. Like, it was so predictable. They're just going like run, pass, right? Like, and then they're getting the kid killed on like 38, 39, and he's got all this pressure coming. He's just a good quarterback, but so I don't know if he's getting super tight or what, but he needs to change something up. But in my opinion, but coaching wise, there are two much worse coaches that we've talked about, Matt Patricia and Adam Gase. So I think
they're going.
Before Lynn goes, definitely got to be one of those guys, unless they're holding something on the owners or I don't know what it is, but I don't know how those two survive the season. But, I'll open it up to you fellas. Erik or Matt, what do you guys think?
Gase, for whatever reason, until now, of course, has had a lock with the team. The ownership has said since he was brought on that Gase is here to stay. He's not going anywhere. That can change. It wouldn't be the first time a billionaire changed his mind. At the end of the day, they're going to look at it like a business, and if it's not making financial sense, then something's got to give. Gase was a unique character to come in and try to lead the team. And I don't know if the ownership is really putting all of the bad news on his shoulders yet. If he can start to turn things around, he might be able to stay on board. But, at the rate he's going, he's not showing that he's the correct leader for the team.
I got one I want to bring up. And I'm not suggesting that they should fire the man. I'm not even sure he did the wrong thing. That's kind of why I want to bring it up. What do you guys think about the Vikings going for it there on fourth down at the end of that game Sunday night? Should they have kicked the field goal to take the 8-point lead, or did they actually do the right thing and it just backfired on them? Matt, you're on the
I mean, we talked about this last week too, I think, or 2 weeks ago about, when to go for two, when to take the field goal, when to get these points. And I think we all agreed that maybe earlier is better, not that they necessarily had the opportunity, but I think you put it perfectly. They made the right call and it didn't work out. And sometimes that happens. And you, I don't know, you can't do much about that, right? You got to feel confident in your choices.
That's the thing. I don't know if they did make the right call. I mean, that's the one side of the coin is that they made the right call and then the defense just didn't get the job done. But I kind of feel like if you're so worried that your defense isn't going to be able to stop Russ from driving it all the way down the field and scoring, then what difference does it make whether you're on the 5-yard line or on the 25-yard line? You might as well kick the field goal, and at least you're guaranteed the worst thing that's going to happen is that you're tied.
Well, up until that point, they had done a good job against Russell Wilson in that game, I think.
Yeah, they had. I know, but so I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not if I had to pick, I would have kicked the field goal personally, me. But I don't know if that. I mean, who knows if that was the right? The only reason we're even talking about it again is because the defense didn't do its job. It didn't get a stop when it needed it.
The one thing
what
I
do you
wanted to
think?
bring up, Jeff, is to me, I think they should have gone for 2 points on the touchdown before that. I don't know if you guys watched the game, but when he kicked that extra point, that's when they should have gone for 2, in my opinion. And then this decision wouldn't have come into play then. And then the only other thing I can think of is like Mike Zimmer's an old school dude, right? Like they've been gashing him on the ground all night long. Maybe he's like, man on man, we get 1 yard and we don't give the ball back to Russell Wilson, and this one's a wrap. That's probably what he was thinking.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Look at the replay. There was actually a huge hole on the right. Matheson just actually ran into the wrong hole. So, again, it's all execution. They got good penetration. Who knows what the right answer is? I think normally I would go for it, but in this actual situation, I would think about it like you said, Jeff, where I would have probably kicked the field goal because then Russell Wilson's got to beat me like 3 times, right? Like he's got to go down the field, get a touchdown. He's got to get a 2-point conversion. Then he's got to beat me in overtime as well.
Right.
And so I would do as much as I can because this guy is just insane. I mean, we've talked about it as long as we've been working here, and just every week he does stuff like this. So normally I would go for it, but I feel like in this situational spot, I would have kicked the field goal.
So that's interesting. So what you're saying is when they went up, they scored a touchdown. So I guess what, it made it 24-21?
Yeah.
And then they kicked the extra point. Right? Or no, I'm sorry. They went up 25-21. And then they kicked the extra point. That's how it got to be 26. That's right? It's 26-21. And then, right, because they were up 5, and then they didn't kick the field goal, would have put them up 8. Right, so if they had gone for 2, even if they don't make it, they're still up by 4. You're still forcing Seattle to have to score a touchdown,
Exactly.
beat you. Right, and if you make it, then you get in a situation where if they had kicked the field goal, they go up 9. And it's, interesting. I did not think of that. And obviously the Vikings.
That's why it's like sad. It's like you go for them earlier in the game, I feel like, too. And that's what a lot of these analytics guys are saying. Like, they swing your win percentages a lot if you just do it ahead of time, because then you know how the rest of the game is going to kind of play out. So
Right. Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that either. Matt, anything else? Anything else that you saw this weekend that
Oh God,
caught
yeah.
your eye?
The Dolphins, for one.
Yeah.
And I suppose equally the 49ers. I mean, what the hell is going on there? I mean, we got Bethard's in at quarterback in the second, and they lose by 20 points, I think, something more. I don't remember exactly the score. It was embarrassing for a team that made the Super Bowl last season. And, I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick, for his 8th team, still chugging along. I know everybody wants to see Tua out there, but I don't know. I mean, he's putting up 350 yards a game against the 49ers. Let him ride. But, yeah, that was a very impressive win and a very impressive loss at the same time.
Yeah. My wife and I are co-owners in one of our fantasy leagues, right? And so our main quarterback is Josh Allen, right? So we're sitting there Sunday morning. Now this is Sunday morning. You got to put it in perspective. It's Sunday morning. We're thinking, this news comes out that the strength and conditioning coach, tested positive. So we're looking at each other. We're going, can we leave him in our starting line? They might not. This game might get banged, right? We don't want to get caught with no game Tuesday night. So we had a choice. So we decided to pick up another quarterback to use and we had a choice of 2 guys. One was Fitzmagic, and one is the one we picked up. And the one we picked up was Danny Dimes. I convinced my wife that the Giants were going to have a huge day on offense against the Cowboys. And she looked at me like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah." I kind of mansplained her a little bit. And we picked up Danny Dimes, and he got 8 points.
Oh.
And I think Fitzpatrick had something like 30. Now I think we're going to lose anyway. As it turned out, we got blown out, so it really didn't matter. But oh man, what a men, listen to your wives. listen to your wives.
Yeah.
That's the once again, how many times do we have to learn that lesson? The other thing that was fascinating to me, and Vic, you're a big college guy too, right? You like college football.
Gambling.
Yes and no?
For gambling purposes.
For gambling purposes. Was there a better wide receiver last year than Chase Claypool at Notre Dame?
No.
Man among boys, right?
I was watching the game. I forget. I think it was against Georgia and last year. And I was like, him and Cole Kmet, I was like, these guys can play ball, man. Like, you're facing SEC monsters. They were ranked like 3rd or something at the time. And they went blow for blow with those guys. And Claypool and Kmet had monster games. And I was like, man, this kid can play. Like, whoever drafts this kid. And of course, he goes to like wide receiver heaven. And it just blew up. And it's fun to watch. Like, I'm just salty because, like, I was like, I wish we had him on the Bears. But I'm sure like Green Bay, I feel like is like the one squad. Like, can you imagine if Green Bay had Claypool instead of their backup quarterback right now?
Yeah,
That would
yeah.
be nasty. But yeah, he looked awesome, man.
And that's no fluke, man. I mean, he's a freak, and they're not gonna, like, especially when you got Juju on the other side, so you can't really cheat, like he's gonna, like Deontay Johnson getting hurt might have been the best thing that ever happened to the Steelers, and Deontay Johnson's good,
He is.
but Claypool, he has a chance now. I mean, he could do. He's not gonna score 4 touchdowns a game every week, but he's gonna have a big impact on them. I like it. Remember the Steelers remember Martavis Bryant?
Yeah, yeah.
Remember he was opposite Antonio Brown, and he was like, but he was such a head case that he just never panned out. Claypool can be like that kind of guy for them, but he's all in, and he's a pro already.
Kid too, like a smart, good kid off the field
Yeah.
too. So like,
Yeah, Notre Dame or the whole bit.
as long
So
as he doesn't get injured, he's gonna have a great career there, man. He's in the perfect spot.
yeah. So even though I picked up Danny Dimes instead of Fitzmagic on Sunday, take my advice. Pick up Claypool. If he's on your waiver wire, get him, because he's gonna be big part of that offense the rest of the way. So I don't know. Let's see what else we got to talk. We don't have any more NBA to talk about. We thought maybe tonight we were going to have a big game tonight, but no. Congratulations to the Lakers. And yeah, boy, it's and no more Yankees. So Matt, your baseball season's over just like mine. But at least the San Diego Padres are going to lead the league in the most important category all season. That's most players stabbed outside strip clubs.
Well, let's hope that they keep that record. We don't need any more of that going on.
Good grief, Mr. Pham. That was not fantastic.
No.
But now, so anyone who was hoping for the big Astros-Dodgers rematch got some work to do. Are the Rays for real? I mean, can the Rays win the whole thing here? Man?
I mean, look, anybody can win the whole thing, but I don't think the Rays could beat the Dodgers if they manage to beat the Astros. I mean, Did
they beat the Braves? Who said the Dodgers are going to get there?
I think they will.
Down a game, and now Kershaw's out tonight? Dodgers
that's right. I forgot about the Kershaw thing. We didn't really talk about that too much before.
Yeah.
I was busy setting all this up.
Yeah, Kershaw has been scratched from his start tonight in Game 2 with a bad back.
Back spasms,
So,
yeah.
Gonsolin
I was really
starting.
looking forward to seeing how he was going to pitch tonight, because this is really the first time that I can remember that he's not been a liability on a playoff team, which is insane because he's amazing. So I really was looking forward to seeing him pitch tonight. And now that we're going to have to see him possibly compromised pitching the next game, less exciting. But I don't know. It's hard for me to say that the Rays can win the World Series. Can you say that with a straight face?
Yeah, I can.
Really?
I can. I do. They're halfway there to get to the World Series.
Yeah, I get it.
They seem to have that thing, that teams just, even though, they've got decent enough pitching, I guess, but it just seems like they're kind of like the Heat. It's like they feel like the version, like they're the Heat of baseball. Like they're not great, but their guys are like getting it done and playing super tough, and it's like the sum of their parts, so yeah, why not, right? And I mean, maybe it's just this is what 2020 means, that all the Tampa teams are going to win championships.
I don't know. If it was truly that, I think the Marlins would have won.
Well, maybe, but Marlins have won it a couple times. Believe me, as we know, even the Marlins have got a couple of rings. So maybe and as someone who covered Kevin Cash as a player in 2007 and 2008, I can tell you, like Terry Francona, when he was managing the Red Sox, and they decided in 2008 they kept Kevin Cash as the backup catcher. They got rid of Doug Mirabelli, and if you're a Red Sox fan, you understand that seems like a completely trivial thing. But Doug Mirabelli, he'd been Tim Wakefield's personal catcher of the knuckleball for years. He's a very popular player in Boston. It was a big deal when they released Mirabelli and gave the job to Kevin Cash. And I can tell you that even back, this is 2008, this is 12 years ago, that Terry Francona would have said even then that this guy's managerial material So it's like, they had Cora and Cash on those teams, and so I'm not surprised that a Kevin Cash-led team is doing this well. And I'm rooting for him because he's a great guy. And, so we'll see. But, I mean, look, so far so good. I mean, I'm not rubbing it in, Matt, but, I mean, they just.
No. Don't get me wrong. I'd be happy if Tampa Bay beats
from
the
a pitching
Astros.
standpoint, they just pretty much dominated the Yankees, and so who'd have ever thought they would have done that? They did it. And now they're up 2-0.
They really did an amazing job. And, like you said, it comes down to a lot of coaching, too. And when you got a former catcher, that's always, I think, a huge
former
plus.
catchers.
Because,
former
I mean,
catchers.
they really are. I mean, people that are casual baseball fans might not realize they think it's the pitcher, but the catcher is the field general. The catcher is the quarterback out there. And,
Right.
Anytime you get a guy like that coming in to be a coach, it's great, I think.
Yeah.
If the Rays face the Braves, the Rays win. If they go up against the Dodgers, I don't know. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, I guess my feeling right now is I'm just a little worried about the Dodgers. Like if they lose tonight and they go down 2-0 there, the Braves are the Braves are like the Rays. It's like nobody's talking about the Braves, but they've got a really good their lineup from 1 to 9 is solid.
Matt,
And,
I actually picked them before the season.
I did. You're right. Yeah, and
Well,
I wrote
that's
about
right.
it. I wrote about it yesterday that I was losing a bit of faith, and I think I blacked out yesterday. That's why I didn't even remember that they won because I had such an awful
picked them,
day
I
yesterday.
remember.
But
That's right, he did. There you go. See?
I mean, they already hit their season win total. That was nice.
Mhm.
They did really nice for me in day-to-day stuff, too. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, after
Eric.
Soroka went down, I pretty much, thought I was going to go into hiding immediately, but they shrugged that off surprisingly well.
Yeah, Eric, you picked the Dodgers, right?
Kind of. If they advance, yeah, definitely the Dodgers.
I mean, back before the season, like when we did this before the season. Didn't you pick the Dodgers?
Before this, we got all together. Yeah, I thought the Dodgers had a good chance. They've obviously done really well. They're going to run into some problems now, though. Even absent of what happened in the last game, they're going to run into a couple more problems before the series is over. And Braves are going to give them a hard time. There's no doubt about that.
No question. And Vic, you picked the Cubs, right? You went homer on that, right? I went homer with the Padres.
My official picks were Dodgers versus Yankees. Okay. I said, look out for the Cubs. I think they were going to win the division, and they did. So at least they did that, and then they got rocked early. Yeah. But so it was Dodgers, Yankees. So I still think the Dodgers get there. But I remember Matt pointing out the Braves. And
he did. I remember that too. That's right.
You pointed out the Pods. And again, Braves, Pods, Cubs all had good years. I mean, making the playoffs is tough in baseball. So as a collective unit, we did pretty well when it comes to this. When you're looking at a preseason before, COVID, all the stuff that it was going on at the time, we did pretty well
right.
when it comes to our predictions.
We're there for the people.
And for us.
Yes. We need to talk to our boss about getting raises.
I think he's still on.
Clearly,
I think he's listening.
You might.
or that Aruba trip.
How about that Aruba trip? That sounds good to me. So, all right. Well, that's probably enough. Now that we're talking about getting raises, we should probably quit while we're ahead. So, thanks everybody for joining in on the stream. Hopefully, it entertained you as much as we entertain ourselves. And we will be back on Friday to take a look at Week 6. Wow, we're creeping up to halfway through the NFL season. That's crazy. But we'll break down all those games. Vic will give us 3 or 4 more guaranteed winners. We'll try to chip in with a couple of our own, and maybe we'll have a little fun while we're doing it. So for Matt and for Eric and for Vic, I'm Jeff. Thanks for coming by. We'll see you next time.
Take care.